In the M&A context, buyers will often, when they deliver a first draft of the definitive purchase agreement, they will include a very lengthy section of representations and warranties from the seller. These representations and warranties typically describe the seller's business in detail. So, for example, they will include such items as compliance with applicable law, whether the seller has any outstanding litigation and describing that litigation. It will include intellectual property owned by the company and other material contracts that the company or the seller has, so that the seller will then be required to put together a disclosure schedule which sets forth and describes all of the detail that is included in the representations and warranties in the underlying purchase agreement. These representations and warranties in a purchase agreement are standard, and any seller should expect and anticipate a very lengthy provision that would include these reps and warranties. Reviewing these representations and warranties are very critical to the seller and thinking about the future post-closing potential indemnification obligations that a seller might have. Therefore, when a seller first receives a draft of the purchase agreement, they should review these representations and warranties very carefully with their outside counsel and work with their counsel to prepare the appropriate disclosure schedules. We typically advise clients to put as much as possible on these disclosure schedules, the more the better, because it will help protect them from a claim by the buyer against the seller after closing. So two heavily negotiated provisions that are typically inserted by seller and their counsel include knowledge and materiality qualifiers. Typically, this would limit the ability of the buyer to bring a claim against the seller post-closing and would really shift the risk to the buyer, which is what the seller will want to do with these reps and warranties. In summary, we recognize how tedious the process of reviewing the representations and warranties is in putting together the disclosure schedules. However, we do want sellers to recognize the importance of this process, because putting this process in place early on and paying attention to it when you're negotiating the purchase agreement will help reduce your risk post-closing with respect to potential indemnification obligations.